I'll kiss every guy, man and woman, man and woman. Look at that guy, how handsome he is. I'll kiss him. Not with a lot of enjoyment, but that's okay.
Over the years, countless shows have taken their shot at portraying Donald Trump. With a pronounced appearance and bold personality, he's practically built for caricature.
Remaking Indiana Jones without Harrison Ford, you can't do that. And now they're making Ghostbusters with only women. What's going on?
In fact, even when a show isn't directly referencing him, you can often tell it's him just by seeing a few simple design choices. Of course, not all portrayals are created equal, with some being more well received amongst audiences, and others not so much. Though one show that consistently stands out for its celebrity and political portrayals is South Park.
Hey, is that fudge packer Tom Cruise? That's it! I'm suing this entire intolerant town!
As despite its reputation for controversy, the series often manages to nail its targets with a healthy mix of satire and absurdity. And so it should come to no surprise that South Park also decided to throw its hat into the ring, with its most recent take on Trump drawing large amounts of media attention.
Hey, relax, guys!
But this isn't actually South Park's first time featuring Donald Trump in their show. In fact, over the years he's been featured not once, not twice, not even thrice, but 4 times. And so we're going to take a look at all of them. Starting off with his first appearance, we have what I'm going to dub as Classic Trump, who appeared way back in the season 5 episode, The Entity. In this episode, Mr. Garrison is tired of having to put up with all the shit from airline travel, and so decides to construct his own mode of transport, which he simply dubs as IT. The product is a major success, so Garrison invites a group of wealthy investors over to view it, one of which just happens to be Donald Trump. Trump actually doesn't have any major part in this episode, and is just simply used as more of a background character for this one scene, though he still does manage to get in one bit of dialogue.
I give you it. Oh, nice, sleek.
It is interesting to look back at Trump in these simpler times, where he was seen as nothing more than just some millionaire, and the guy who helped Kevin find his way to the hotel lobby.
Excuse me, where's the lobby?
Down the hall and to the left.
Thanks.
14 whole years later, however, that would all change. Here we have Canadian Trump in the season 19 episode, Where's My Country Gone? In this episode, Mr. Garrison is getting sick of all the Canadian immigrants coming to South Park, and so starts his own political movement to not only build a wall to prevent them from coming over, but to also, and I quote,
Them all to death. Let's make this country great again.
He soon discovers that the new Canadian Prime Minister has already built a wall to keep Americans out, so Garrison decides to sneak over to Canada to see what's going on. He finds that Canada is now a deserted wasteland, and ends up confronting the Prime Minister of Canada, who seems to bear some similarities to a certain other presidential candidate of the time. The two end up getting into a fight, where Garrison ends up defeating him, and all the Canadians are able to return home.
Hey, did you hear the news, buddy? The Canadian president's been to death. Yes! Yes!
Having been killed off, this was the only time we see Canadian Trump, but this episode did lay the groundwork for what would become a much more prominent Trump figure in the show. Following on from his success in season 19, Garrison teams up with Caitlyn Jenner and continues his political campaign, even beginning to sport a slight orange-tanned face as his campaign goes on. Now, for a show that never seems shy in the past to depict actual celebrities and politicians, it seemed like an odd choice to use an already existing character to portray Trump instead, especially one who played quite a major role in the show, such as Mr. Garrison. On the season 19 DVD commentary, Matt and Trey stated the reason for this is that they expected Trump's campaign to end before the 2016 election, and so doing a direct portrayal of Trump would quickly become dated if the campaign ended too quickly, and so they felt it would be more appropriate to use one of their existing characters in his role, with no long-term plans for it having to stay that way. Oh, how hindsight is 2020. And it's clear from the way that season 20 was written that they were hedging bets on the Democrats winning, which, for those of you who aren't aware, due to South Park's limited animation and simplistic art style, it's able to churn out episodes incredibly quickly, sometimes within just a few days. So season 20 was being written and produced as the elections were still taking place. But despite being able to produce episodes so quickly, it was obvious that Matt and Trey were still preemptively writing this season with the mindset that the Democrats would still win. as prior to the election in the show, Garrison realizes that he won't actually be able to carry out his promises as president, and so actively tries to sabotage his campaign, even giving a heartfelt speech which directly tells people not to vote for him.
On November 8th, you must vote against me and show the world that you didn't think the new Star Wars was all that good.
And this plot would have made sense if Hillary had ended up winning, as Garrison would have simply stepped down from politics and gone back to his teaching job, and everything would have pretty much carried on as normal. But of course, reality didn't quite pan out that way, and so now the show had to quickly throw together an all-new alternate ending last minute,
This isn't how it was supposed to happen.
which completely U-turned Garrison's character arc and has him now wanting to stay on as president, leaving the end of season 20 to be a very fascinating, albeit clunky mess. Despite being such a huge plot point for season 20, Garrison Trump is surprisingly absent for much of the show after. And the main reason for this was given in an interview by Matt and Trey shortly after season 20 aired, in which they stated that making fun of the new US government is hard because satire has become reality.
This is my stank face. It's like, I'm not listening to you, see?
Garrison briefly appeared in the pandemic special where he kills a pangolin in order to prolong COVID, but then following up after Trump's loss in the 2020 election, Garrison reverts back to his classic appearance and simply returns back to South Park in the vaccination special, symbolizing that the creators were now well and truly done with Trump. But then of course we have Trump getting re-elected once again, which brings us to the present day in his most recent incarnation, in what I'm going to be dubbing as Saddam Trump, which for the 12 people who may be unaware, this version of Trump is a callback to how Saddam Hussein used to be portrayed back in the South Park movie along with a few other episodes.
Hey, relax, guy. I'm just your average Joe. Take a rest. Hey, relax, guy. I'm just your average Joe. Take a rest.
In this version, Trump is basically a reskin of Saddam, not only in terms of how his body is designed, but also his mannerisms and even his relationship with Satan.
You remind me more and more of this other guy I used to date, like a lot.
Though it did beg the question, if Garrison was meant to be Trump in the previous seasons, then who is this guy meant to be? Well, the show did very briefly address it with the townspeople confronting Garrison, only to find that he's no longer the one in the White House.
But if he's here, then who's the retarded faggot in the White House?
And so the show just kind of accepts the fact that this is now the actual Donald Trump, who has no connection to Garrison whatsoever. This is definitely the most bombastic version of Trump we have seen in the show, and is such a far cry from his generic modest appearance way back in season 5. I really love this old style of the show where they would use real world faces to represent celebrities, and I wish they would do it more often. I'm not sure why they moved away from this. Maybe it was a creative choice as the art style evolved to become more detailed over time, or maybe it was done from a legal point where it would be less likely for the show to get sued if they use an artistic interpretation of a celebrity rather than their actual photos.
All right, then I'm gonna sue your whole town. You got that? $5 billion.
I also don't know whether to include these two as incarnations of Trump, but I feel it's worth mentioning them anyway, as we get the live action version and the PP version of Trump at the end of season 27, episode 1.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I endorse this message.
Plus, I also wanted an excuse to show this behind the scenes picture of them filming it, which I just find hilarious. So yeah, that's the 4 incarnations of Trump we have so far. Will there be any more to come? I mean, probably, but who knows. Let me know which is your favourite version in the comments below, and until the next one, take care.